Hello lovies, it is Thornie back here with The Sims 4 Cottage Living. Well, I was going to say Cottage Living Let's Play. This is actually a speed build. These are my three Sims, Nat, Fetu and Diego, who I am playing the Cottage Living Let's Play with. Nat is going to be getting married, hopefully, to Michael, the creature keeper. And so they needed a bigger house. Fetu and Diego are married. They moved in with Nat to help her run a little sort of farm. But they have, they have outgrown the plot. So they've moved to this plot of land. And so we want a nice big sort of farmhouse for them. And it's going to be two couples. So because it's snow time. That's actually what I was going to say. I was actually going to say because it's snow time. Because it's winter and it's snowing, I've just jumped into build mode so that, or like the map view, like building through the map, rather than build mode through like live mode, because otherwise I'm building in the snow and I need to be able to see what I'm doing, or I like to be able to, see what's going on. So because it's two couples, what I thought was I would build what we call in the UK a semi-detached house. It's basically two houses next door to each other that are joined in the middle. So we would call this a semi-detached, because I do live in the UK, if you haven't already guessed. So yeah, I wanted them to have kind of like the separate houses, but because they have been living together and they are obviously going to be working this farm together, I still wanted them to be close. I didn't want them to be like on separate lots. I wanted to still be able to play the Let's Play with both of them, or with all, well, hopefully all four of them once Michael moves in, once they're married. Yeah, I wanted to be able to just build a house where they can all live together but still kind of have a separate space, particularly because Nat is a loner and also Michael, the creature keeper. As I was saying that, I think, am I going to actually keep saying that? Am I actually going to keep calling him Michael, the creature keeper? You know who Michael is. So Michael is also a loner. So obviously Nat and Michael both need their own space. So I thought that would be a good idea to have it divided. So I basically built one side of the house and then just flipped it and copied it onto the other side, so that the houses are exactly the same size, except that Fetu and Diego's, theirs is on the left hand side. They do have a little bit of an extension. I wanted it to be not quite symmetrical, and they were both sort of city boys. They worked hard in the city, made quite a lot of money, so we did have a decent amount of money to spend on this, and I wanted theirs to be a little bit more modern. Diego actually dislikes modern decor, so I suppose what I mean is a bit more contemporary looking, whereas Nat and Michael's house is a bit more kind of traditional country cottage vibe, I think. So yeah, Diego, he dislikes modern decor. He likes grey. That was basically the only thing to work with on their side. Nat likes blue and grey, so there's a bit of that pops up on their side, but she has no kind of dislikes in terms of decor. Fetu doesn't have any dislikes or likes on decor either, so it made it kind of easy. The only thing I had to just filter out was the modern stuff. So I'm just making their little kitchen here. I thought keeping it like, obviously he likes grey, so maybe cooler colours, a bit cleaner looking, not too fussy. Obviously the windows and doors and everything that I picked are a bit more sort of fancy looking, or a bit more detailed than maybe they would choose themselves. But I think it goes with like the country vibe. And this plot is quite nice because it is sort of it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but there is a house down the street, so you have kind of got neighbours. You're not totally dropped in the middle of a field with nothing around you. So I thought they'd like that. They've come from the country. Nat also came... No, they came from the city, sorry. Nat also came from the city, which is how she knew Diego. And then she obviously talked them into sort of moving out to the country to get away from that, the work 100% of the time. Have a bit more of a work-life balance. So Fetu is a florist, so he still goes out to work, but Diego was an art critic, and he now works from home, so he writes books, and he also does some gardening. His prime thing is looking after the chickens, so we have to make sure we have a decent area for the chicken coops. And Nat also is now like working from home as a farmer. So this little area, just like the little entrance hall, didn't do anything too fancy, just put a few bits down, put the rug down and everything, and little lamp and seat. And then I opened this space up and then decided I didn't like it. It was too big. Because I wanted to sort of, the idea of him sort of writing, maybe sort of Diego doing his writing, doing books, being able to sit down at the computer there and have a bit of peace and quiet if somebody else was in the other room watching TV or anything like that. So there was a bit of separation. So I liked the open plan, and then, yeah, I thought maybe it's a bit too open plan. Also in terms of furnishing, a big room like that, I thought going straight from the kitchen, not having any separation, would maybe be more difficult. So, but I kept this area quite open, put some skill building things in. I'm not really bothered about which packs I use, although I do use quite a lot of, obviously, the cottage living things to go with the theme. And I kind of imagine Diego and Fetu just going out around local markets on a weekend, picking up things like that trunk that the TV's on, you know, finding things in like antique centres or flea markets and things like that they can just pick up and add interesting pieces to their house. Whereas I think Nat and probably also Michael are a bit more, you know, they just take what they find and sort of are not really bothered about sort of material items. Also, I've just realised that I did actually change the trunk out for a table to give a bit more space. So forget that, you know, they didn't like the trunk. They got rid of it very quickly. They decided it didn't fit their decor. So, yeah, I was trying to I remember now, it's actually probably a couple of weeks since I filmed this. I've been away and I've been having some issues. So I filmed this, and then I'm now doing the voiceover for it. So I've, yeah, kind of forgotten a little bit about what I'd decided to do. But I know I was trying to make the room work, and that area just seemed a bit full. But moving the chair around to the other side and moving the TV over onto the right hand side seemed to make it better. So also there in the corner I've put the floristry table so that Fetu can do a little bit of work at home. Also, because the weather is so bad here, it kind of rains. I know in the UK it does rain quite a lot, but here it just seems to be raining constantly. And then there's thunderstorms, and they're always scared. And if he has to go before the flower arranging table, that's better. The flower arranging table was in the greenhouse, and I still do put one in the greenhouse here, but whenever he went out to build his skill for work, if there was a thunderstorm, he'd be scared, and then he wouldn't be able to do a floral arrangement because he was too scared, and then he wasn't improving at work. So I thought having one inside is probably just the safest bet. Then he doesn't have to go outside at all if he doesn't want to, which obviously would be, well, easier in terms of him actually being able to progress at work. So I like this gingham wallpaper, but I thought it was a little bit too much over all of the walls, so I've just done it like a feature wall behind the bed. I thought it tied everything in quite nicely. Again, sort of using that grey undertone, keeping things quite clean and calm and neutral. I did have an issue with curtains on this window because nothing sort of seemed to fit properly, so I thought I'd come back to it and go and do the hall instead. put the rail down. I like these kind of barn door type, you know, doors, a bit more rustic looking. They are 2-bedroom houses, these, so it's got 2 bedrooms upstairs, and for both houses I make them into a child's room, because Nat is, I think, feeling sort of maternal. You know, she's ready to have children, so they obviously made sense for them to have like a nursery or a toddler room in their house. And Fetu is not so keen on children, but I think Diego would really like to have kids. So they are going to sort of sit down and have that conversation and maybe adopt a toddler. So that's why I made this into sort of a toddler room. And I do like the idea of them both, like Nat and Diego, both having toddlers at the same time so that they can be friends as well. I thought that would be kind of nice to have kids around the same time so that they can grow up together. And obviously, as I was decorating their house, I thought I might as well just make it into a kids' room, because there was no need for that room to be anything else. So over in Nat and Michael's house, I do make this a little bit more closed off downstairs. I add a little toilet in downstairs. I think that's a bit further along. Just because both of the bathrooms were upstairs, and I thought maybe that would be hard work, not having a toilet downstairs for people just to nip down quickly to use that. I wanted their kitchen to be a little bit more homely, a little bit more lived in, so I do kind of fill it up a little bit more with stuff. And I really like this green colour for this counter. Sometimes I don't put cabinets up on the walls. I think because a lot of the time when I play, I have the walls down, so you don't actually see them. The wall cabinets, it seems a bit of a waste of money. But this time I thought I wanted to fill it up. I really like that kind of cream and green pattern tile. I thought that looked a bit old-fashioned, but I still like the pattern, and it kind of matched with the cabinets. So I go with that kind of older terracotta style tile as well to add a bit of warmth. And then I go through quite a few chairs, trying to work out which chairs I want to fit in, and takes me a while to decide. There you go. See, I thought I'd decide, and then I'm like, no, I'll go back to these ones which I think were the ones I originally looked at, but because it was the darker wood, I wasn't sure if I wanted to use them, because the kitchen counters are the lighter wood. I also put a high chair in there. I don't know if it's usable. I have play tested this, so I know that like pretty much everything is usable. I've not tested the high chair yet. I'm not a fan of a high chair. I put it in there really, I suppose, because I had space and it looked like something that they probably would have, or that you should have when you've got a kid. The gameplay aspect of the high chair annoys me, that you have to put the kid in there and then, you know, feed them, and then you have to take them out, and then they're complaining if you're not taking them out quick enough, and, you know, so that's that. But I did put one in. And then, yeah, I've gone all out with the wallpaper, because, again, I felt like it sort of fitted into the vibe that they're going for. I could imagine that this is the original wallpaper, or like previous owners has had this wallpaper, and they kind of move in and like, yeah, I really like it. Whereas Fetu and Diego have definitely redecorated, you know, knocked a couple of walls down, maybe opened things up a little bit, painted it all nice and light, bright colours. Whereas over this side, it's definitely more traditional, more kind of farmhouse, cottagey, and maybe a bit more relaxed as well. You know, you could imagine coming in, chucking your keys down on the table, chucking your coat over the chair, and they wouldn't be really too fussed about it. It's definitely a lived-in house. I also like the big fireplace. It is massive, and I think in this room it's kind of a bit imposing, but I think that can happen in smaller houses and cottages where you've got an open fire like that. It can be a bit kind of taking over the whole room, so I like that. I like the feeling of everything sort of being stuffed in there. So this little area, I skipped over it, but I did actually pop a bathroom just in the bottom the screen. You can kind of just see the corner of it. I like wedged in a little bathroom, a little toilet downstairs, and then this is kind of like the little workroom. I imagine Michael, being the creature keeper, would be making all sorts of you know, plant pots and cages and hutches for things and boxes, and you know, he'd be the sort of the handy person around the house, knocking bits and pieces up for whatever people need for out in the garden. And then yeah, as I'm going through, I'm just finding bits and pieces that I like, sort of clutter items. So I do tend to jump around a little bit at this point when I'm furnishing. So apologies if it seems to be like all over the place, but when I find bits and pieces that I think, oh, that'd fit really well in that room, rather than trying to remember about it later on, I just jump backwards and forwards between the rooms and put items up on the walls. So here I'm just doing some sort of decorating, and then we're moving. Well, obviously I'm doing decorating, but some kind of finishing touches decorating, so the pictures on the walls and things like that, before moving upstairs to the bedroom. Again, I'm using this gingham, and I think I leave it on all of the walls because I feel like this is the area where you would be leaving it everywhere. And there we go again, I found that clock. I thought that would look quite good in the kitchen. Now this room does change, so after I've play tested it, it will look a little bit different when I go through at the end to do kind of the live mode tour. I had a real issue with Sims not being able to get around to the other side of the bed, or moving around there and then getting stuck. So it does change a little bit. I have to get rid of that dresser. Not quite sure what the issue was, but anyway, they couldn't get through. So nice sort of calm, relaxing bedroom upstairs for them. This is Diego's yoga studio. With the update, the spa update that happened a few weeks ago, Diego is now, he's always been interested in yoga. He's always had a yoga mat doing his yoga outside in the fresh air. But I thought it would be quite interesting to explore that a little bit more. And with the spa day update, kind of being able to teach yoga classes and things like that. So now he's working from home, I wanted him to have a little space of his own where he can go and practice yoga, and he can also do some classes, so maybe earn some money with that as well. So my idea was that this would have been like a barn that they've converted. It's a little shower room there, so you can clean off after your yoga class. Nice big windows at the back of it as well, so you can look out onto the pond and things. The landscaping outside did take me a long time, so apologies if you miss things, because I did skip over some bits. But I've put a pond outside. I do this kind of raised area that they could both use, or both houses could use, for like eating outside and using the grill and things. I've put a little another little workshop outside that I've just put sort of like art things out there, but I was thinking maybe because we have so much produce that we're growing, we could maybe do juice fizzing or something like that, and that could go outside in this little shed there just on the left hand side. So just making the lattice work over this and putting some plants up there. And also in the back that you kind of saw briefly before, I have put a couple of animal sheds and the chicken coops outside out there. But again, I will do a little bit of a run through in live mode so that you can see everything that I've missed out. It did just literally take me ages and ages. Doing the pond especially, I had to keep smoothing it, trying to do the edge so there was a path round from the door, trying to make sure that it was flat enough, that there was enough space, because things do move over a little bit. The placement of this, I think I move it over slightly. I wasn't quite happy with it sticking out like this, so it does change in a little bit. But I wanted it to be a nice outdoor space. I wanted them to have plenty of space to plant crops. and they've currently got a cow, so I wanted them to also have a llama, so I've added in another animal shed and the chicken coops and everything, so they've got a nice walled off area for that. They've also got this greenhouse outside that's got all of the, I was going to say indoor plants, that's not what I mean, the crops that you can plant in the new cottage living pack, so like the lettuce and the oversized pumpkins and mushrooms and everything, they grow all year round. But before that, like especially with seasons, the plants that like just the regular sort of like, you know, tomatoes and onions and raspberries and things don't grow. Like if you've got seasons on, they don't grow particular seasons. So I just wanted them to be able to grow all year round, which is probably a bit cheaty, but that's why I've got the greenhouse. So all of those kind of plants are indoors so that they will grow all year round. Now I had this little spot round the side that I just made like a little pond, a little water feature. I thought that would be nice and calming to go and sit around there. So I've got the bench out there. And then that's where the little shed is as well, on the right hand side now of the screen, that I thought might be like the juice fizzing area. This little spot, this is the Agnes's like little garden stall that you can go and visit, and I wasn't sure. I liked the idea that it would be like a little farmers market stall that they could sell their stock from it, but you actually, in gameplay when I've tested it, you actually have to hire somebody to run the stall for 100 simoleons, so it doesn't kind of quite work in the way that I wanted to, which I'm not surprised about, because obviously it is something like an interactive item that you can just find in debug. But I left it there because I like it as the idea. It doesn't open up autonomously, so you don't really have to worry about it. You could just, if you wanted to download this and use this house, you can just delete it if you didn't want it. But I like it as just a little feature, and like the idea of the fact that that's probably, well, that's what they would be using it for if they could. So I make it like a little area. I put the bench out there so that people can have a little sit down. I put some seats down here as well because this is the entrance to Diego's yoga studio, so I thought people could sit there. And then, as you can see there, I have moved the little deck over to the right, and I put in a door through from Fetu and Diego's like living room so that they can get straight out onto the deck, and then adding in a lot of flowers. Again, here I'm just kind of going through the debug menu just to find some bits and pieces that I thought we could maybe use as decoration. And I find a lot of the like oversized crops, like wheelbarrow and things like that. So I do put a couple of wheelbarrows around and fill them up with some plants to sort of make it look like there's people been out in the crop fields, picking all the crops, putting them in wheelbarrows to take them around to the front to sell them out that little stall. And because of debug, you can't duplicate, I couldn't think of the word then, you can't duplicate items by clicking on them. So that's why I put so many items down on the floor, so I can pick them up quickly without having to like scroll through and try and find them again. And this little odd spot here, I was trying to work out what to do, and I decided to do excuse me, like a raised bed. So these would be the crops that all four of them use for themselves. So they're growing items that they would, you can't actually pick them, they're just decorative, but in my head, these are the plants that they would be growing for themselves. They'd have their own separate little area. So the big crop fields would be for the items that they're selling, and those ones there just outside Nat's back door would be the ones that they can go and like pick up and use for their own food. I like those little plants as well that I've just put down. It's quite a nice little feature, and I found these like little mushrooms, so I put those around in a few little spots. And here's the wheelbarrow so there's an empty wheelbarrow, and I'm just sort of filling it with some oversized crops. Now a couple of these do get in the way this one I think in particular gets in the way of those crop patches, so they do move. But they are still on the plot, and again round here I put another one and fill it up with some items. And I think we're coming to the end of this and we'll jump into live mode. Okay, so we are in live mode and it is the first day of spring, so unfortunately things are looking a bit dead, but there we go. This is our build. This is the little sort of stall we've got in the corner with all our crops, which I thought was kind of a nice little addition. Our yoga studio, there's the greenhouse at the back, which you sort of didn't see much of the back garden in the build. Our 2 animal sheds, and then plenty of space for crops. So there's 5 different types of oversized crops in the game, so I've given us 5 rows, each with 4 plots in, so that means you can kind of divide them up nice and neatly, which I enjoy. Then our little kind of pond area. Sorry, we have just had a wedding, so this is not in the upload on the gallery. I have been playtesting this so I have filmed an episode. I've recorded an episode of our Let's Play. So now Michael has actually moved in, so that's why things maybe have changed a little bit. So we've got our Jeep, which is a debug item. This little, oh, there's a thing going on with the roof there. I'll sort that out in a second. This is a little shed outside that there's nothing really in currently. And then our back garden area with some of the little kids things. Inside the yoga studio is pretty simple, nice view out into the back garden, and then obviously our divided houses. So Fetu and Diego's is a bit more minimalist maybe, but it's sort of more neutral, I suppose is the word I'm looking for. Kind of the kitchen, a study area, and their living room, and then upstairs they've got the 2 bedrooms. So theirs is a bit of an extended house. We've got a nice master bedroom here, and then the kids' room, nice big bathroom, and a little bit of a work area. And then next door at Nat and Michael's house, a bit more homely, a bit more countrified. Nice big kitchen, little downstairs toilet, and then the living room, and also a bit of a work area because they are living out in the farm, so I thought they'd have plenty of repairs and things that they need to make with that. What's it called? Oh my goodness, the skill building item, this thing. Oh my goodness me. So I thought they'd put that into good use. The kids' bedroom and a very sort of straightforward bathroom, and then I did mention as I was going through that the bedroom did have to change, so we had to get rid of that dresser and the plants and everything for it to work, which is a shame. I thought, well, obviously I thought they'd be able to get past, but I kind of rejigged everything and it still didn't work. So a bit of a simple bedroom, but I really like this. I like the fact that there's plenty of space for them. We've got some items for the kids when they come along. So we've got the swing set and like I say, the paddling pool and things. Plenty of space for our animals. We do have the chicken shed over here, which I forgot to point out. And over here I have put some oversized plants that I've made into sort of decor items just to make it look like something's happening. That is my cat Ruby in the background, if you can hear her meowing. She's coming for some attention. Yeah, just to make it look a bit more green and like the like there's something going on. So as I say, you can upload this, you can find this in the gallery. The name is the Myers Farm, so you can search for that. You can also search for me over on the gallery. I am ThorniePlaysTheSims. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I really enjoyed the building this. I think it's a really nice kind of family home, especially if you're playing with multiple Sims, multiple families. You can have them living together and all working on the same farm. So Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give it a like if you have. Leave me some comments down below. Let me know what you think. And I will see you next time.